Devya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text number 27. The chapter is titled Transcendental Knowledge. Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani cha apare atma samyama yogagnau juvati jnana dipite sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani cha apare atma samyama yogagnau Juvati Jnanadipite Sarvani Indriya Karmani Prana Karmani Cha Apare Atma Samyama Yogagnau Juvati Jnanadipite. Anybody would like to chant?
Sarvendriya karmani prana karmani chabare atma samyamya yogagnau juhvadi jnana dipide.
सर्वाणि इंद्रियकर्माणि प्राणकर्माणि चापरे आत्मसंयमयोगाग्नो युज्यति ज्ञानदीपिते.
सर्वाणीन्द्रिय कर्माणि प्राण कर्माणि चापरे आत्म संयम योगाग्नौ जुह्वति ध्यान दीपिते.
Okay, word by word. Sarvani, of all. Indriya, the senses. Karmani, functions. Prana karmani, functions of the life, breath. Cha, also. Apare, others. Atma samyama, of controlling the mind. Yoga, the linking process. Agnav, in the fire of. Juvati, offer. Jnana dipite, because of the urge for self-realization. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Let's repeat again. Others who are interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Purport. The yoga system conceived by Patanjali is referred to herein. In the Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, the soul is called Pratyagatma and Paragatma. As long as the soul is attached to sense enjoyment, it is called Paragatma. But as soon as the same soul becomes detached from sense enjoyment, it is called Pratyagatma. The soul is subjected to the functions of 10 kinds of air at work within the body, and this is pursued through the breathing system. The Patanjali system of yoga instructs one on how to control the functions of the body's air in a technical manner, so that ultimately all the functions of the air within become favorable for purifying the soul of material attachment. According to this yoga system, Pratyagatma is the ultimate goal. This Pratyagatma is withdrawn from activities in matter. The senses interact with the sense objects, like the ear for hearing, eyes for seeing, nose for smelling, tongue for tasting, hand for touching, and all of them are thus engaged in activities outside the self. They are called the functions of the Pranavayu. The Apanavayu goes downwards. Vyanavayu acts to shrink and expand. Samanavayu adjusts equilibrium. Udanavayu goes upwards. And when one is enlightened, one engages all this in searching for self-realization. Om Agnanatimnandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitanyena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manabhistam Stapitamena Bhutale Swayamrupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shrijuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanto Namastate Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Bhasya Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavane Bhayo Vaishnabe Bhayo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Reading the words again. Sarvani indriya karmani prana karmani cha apare atma samyama yogagnau juvati jnana dipite. Others were interested in achieving self-realization through control of the mind and senses, offer the functions of all the senses and of the life breath as oblations into the fire of the controlled mind. Jai. Hari Hari. So here in this verse, Lord Krishna, in this particular section, in fact, starting from the 25th verse onwards, Lord Krishna is explaining about sacrifices leading to transcendental knowledge, right? Sacrifices ultimately, leading to transcendental knowledge. Initially, one performs sacrifices to restrain one's senses from the sense objects. Why he has to restrain the senses from the sense objects? So that a person does not commit sin and is freed from sinful reactions. That's why he's restraining the senses from sense objects. Right? When we don't restrain our senses from the sense objects, what happens? In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we hear Dhyata Visham Pumsam Sangate Supajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kaman Kaman Krodha Abhijayate. It initially begins by the senses contemplating to enjoy the sense objects. Contemplating to enjoy the sense objects, one develops attachment, right, to that sense object. And ultimately, the desire to enjoy the sense object develops, which is kama, which is always unfulfilled. And as a result, he will become frustrated, and that will lead to krodha, anger, right? And krodha bhavati sammoha, sammoha smriti vibrama, smriti vibrama, buddhi nasat pranashati, right? Krodha bhavati sammoha. From anger arises bewilderment of memory. Sammoha smriti vibhrama. Right. From anger arises delusion. Sammoha. From delusion arises bewilderment of memory. Smriti vibhrama buddhi nasat. From bewilderment of memory, one loses intelligence, and when one loses intelligence, buddhi nasat pranashati, falls down, right? So that's the process of how just by contemplating on the sense objects, it ultimately leads to his fall down. So this particular process of achieving the goal of transcendental knowledge, one sacrifices, right? Not allowing the one sacrifices by restraining one's senses, so that the sense of the senses does not get attached to the sense objects. Then in the second stage, one also sacrifices one's own self, right? So initially, we just talked about later verses we read about dravya yajna, means doing sacrifices of material possessions. Dravya yajna, sacrifices of material possessions. Then tapo yajna means sacrificing one's own self by performing severe austerities, right? And now in this, we hear about yoga yajna, means by Patanjali system, right? By Patanjali system, where we read about, let's go back, the yoga system conceived by Patanjali is referred to herein, right? Where in the Patanjali system, the yoga is, the soul is called in two categories, Pratyagatma and Paragatma. Paragatma is one who is attached, the Atma is attached to the sense objects, right? Is attached to sense enjoyment. It's conditioned, like we call that as a conditioned soul. Atma is a conditioned soul. So in that Patanjali system, it is called as Paragatma. And Pratyagatma means is unattached to the sense enjoyment. That is Pratyagatma. So the goal is to be Pratyagatma. In Patanjali system, the goal is to be Pratyagatma. And how does it achieve that goal? It achieves that goal by controlling this air within the body, right? And there are 5 major and 5 minor airs within the body. Here, the 5 major air are listed in the purport as the Apanavayu, which goes downwards, the Vyanavayu, which acts to shrink and expand, the Samanavayu, which adjusts the equilibrium, Udanavayu, which goes upward, right? And when one is enlightened, one engages all this in search of self-realization, right? So that's through the Patanjali system. We see that this Pratyagatma is withdrawn from activities in matter, right? Because the senses interact with the sense objects, like the ears for hearing, eyes for seeing. Similarly, they are initially interacting with the sense objects and ultimately develops attachment to those sense objects. Right? That we want to hear anything and everything. Right? How can I do prajalpa? How can I hear on my smartphone, hear on whatever gossip which is going on, here, right? And that's how our ears are conditioned in that way to hear all kinds of garbage, all kinds of garbage. Similarly, eyes, in the conditioned nature of the eyes, it wants to see, right? It wants to see. Now, and there also, we have such wonderful gadgets now, which is available to us. That means at one click, it can make us see all different numbers. Either I can go into the sense enjoyment and be attached to seeing dirty things, or I can be attached to seeing the Supreme Lord. Right? And ultimately, the perfection of yoga in all this is using one's senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. So in the next two verses also we will hear about different kinds of sacrifices. And then the 29th verse we hear about this ultimate pranayam, right? Means ultimately controlling the exhaling air and the inhaling of the air, ultimately controlling that aspect, right? To bring equilibrium. Right here in the Patanjali system also, it brings equilibrium within these 10 airs to ultimately achieve what it wants, the goal of Pratyagatma, where it is not attached to the sense objects by a technical manner of that which is dictated by this Patanjali Yoga. But a devotee of the Supreme Lord uses all these senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. Uses all the senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. Like it's mentioned about Amrish Maharaj, how he uses all his senses in the service of the Supreme Lord. He uses his feet to walk to the temple of the Lord. Right? He uses his eyes to see the beautiful form of the Supreme Lord. He uses his ears to hear about the glories, the sound vibrations of the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Right? He uses his mind to think about the Supreme Lord. Right? He uses his tongue to again glorify the Supreme Lord or to taste Krishna Prasad, which is also a sacrifice by itself. Yagyashishtashina santamuchante sarvakilbisai. When we do not tend to eat whatever is available in front of us, but tend to eat only that which is offered to the Supreme Lord, it is a sacrifice by itself. And a yogi who is performing devotional service performs that. Otherwise, we have to try all these artificial means. And it sets up this method that, okay, ultimately in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it talks about quite in detail about this Ashtanga Yoga process. Right? Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, and ultimately to Samadhi. It talks about this eightfold mystic process. And Arjuna, even 5,000 years back, it mentions, you are telling me to control the mind by this the process. It is easy for me to control the wind, but to control the mind. Because the nature of the mind is chanchala, it is flickering, it is going very rapidly from one object to another object, or one thought to another thought. Right. And Lord Krishna mentions, yes, you are completely right. Abhyas yogena kaunteya, but by regular practice, one can control the mind. And we'll hear about that in the 6th chapter. But in this particular section of the 4th chapter, where it talks about sacrifices leading to transcendent knowledge, ultimately it comes to a conclusion that the real sacrifice is using the senses in the service of the Lord. Using the senses in the service of the Lord. Right. Instead of artificial ways, when we use the senses in the service of the Lord, then Rishikesha, the Sevanam Bhakti Uttamam. Rishikesha, Sevanam Bhakti Uttamam. Like using all the senses in the service of the one who controls all the senses, Rishikesha. The topmost Bhakti Uttamam, topmost form of devotional service. Topmost form of devotional service is when we can engage all our senses in the service of the Lord. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. These 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam starts with hearing. Hearing what? Not those prajalpa, not whatever we want to hear. No. But hearing the glories of the Supreme Lord. Hearing the names of the Supreme Lord. In the association of devotees, like we have this wonderful platform in the morning and in the evening where we can hear about the Supreme Lord, of the glories of the Supreme Lord. Right? Yes, we Shravanam, we chant, and in that chanting also hearing is involved. Right? Where we need to, while we are chanting, the transcendental sound vibration which comes out, we need to engage our mind in hearing and our ears into hearing that sound vibration, so that our mind remains fixed, it does not flicker. Right. It does not flicker. Are there any questions? Discussions? Or realizations?
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat all Krishna Srila Prabhupada.
Dhanavad Pranam Amritananda Prabhu. It must be 4:30 your time. 5 o'clock?
Yeah, but
5 o'clock.
yeah, 4 to 5, yeah.
5
But my body is 7:30 New Jersey time. So
Yeah.
sacrificing sleep in the fire of Prabhuji, my question
Yes.
is, you mentioned that we have a choice of how to engage these senses. Either it could be to a nonsensical activity or to, like seeing a darshan of a deity or something like that.
Yeah.
Now, when we make that choice of taking darshan of a deity rather than watching some nonsense, then we are sacrificing that. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, what we also understand, like these sacrifices and whatever else that we're doing, is person needs to be very clean in body and mind. So what we're doing is the cleanliness. We take a bath. We brush our teeth, we take a bath, and so on and so forth. That's when we go and offer bhoga or do deity worship.
Mhm.
But in this sense, at a subtle level, when I'm sacrificing that dirty intention, that intention is dirty, na Prabhu. The
Mhm.
intention is dirty, and I'm sacrificing it for Vishnu. Vishnu is the Yagya
Yeah.
Purush.
Yes.
So how is it that I'm giving something dirty to Vishnu, but on the same other side, if I have to offer bhoga to Vishnu, then I have to be very clean and saucham, that.
Mhm.
So how do we reconcile this?
Yeah. First of all, I'm sacrificing something or rejecting something to use in a purified state in the service of the Lord. Now, to begin with, we are in a conditioned stage, right? So, to the level we can surrender to the Supreme Lord, right? How is it that the Lord is sitting right within our heart, along with the soul, and is witnessing each and every act of our body? He is witnessing, thinking, also sensing, oh, what my intelligence is going to make the next step. And not only witnessing, he even carries out that next step. We can just desire, man proposes, God disposes. Right. So, now, from that angle, even if you want to do something dirty, we need the sanction of the Lord. Right? We need the sanction of the Lord. Oh, no, I want to dedicate this time to hear about the Supreme Lord. No, forget about hearing of the Supreme Lord. It's too early in the morning. No, sleep. So, no, there's a tussle. And ultimately, uh, uh, based on our practice, and if we are practicing more regularly, then the tussle towards hearing the names of the Supreme Lord, and especially when the Sangha is there, in the association of the devotees, it becomes more stronger. Otherwise, we succumb to our inferior nature, as you may call. But our superior nature takes over, it becomes more stronger in the association of devotees. Right. That's why bhakti, for performing devotional service, you don't require any of this dravya yagya or tapo yagya. Through the sacrifices, you cannot get bhakti. By the mercy of the devotee, you can get bhakti. Right? By the mercy of the devotee, you get bhakti, and bhakti breeds more bhakti. A performance of devotional service, one has a desire to perform more devotional service. So initially, yes, you're right, that we are in that contaminated state, but since our desire is stronger to perform devotional service, even in that contaminated state, Lord accepts that, He is desiring to come to me. He is making that choice to come to me rather than being subdued by his contaminated state. So the Lord then helps us to slowly overcome that contaminated state based on our surrender. Based on our surrender, it brings us more and more closer to the Supreme Lord. Right? Is that all right, Amitabh Babu?
Yeah, it answered because yesterday when I came Savita was telling me, I really, really, in my heart, I have so much relief that you come here now to help out with other things. So I said, I have a lot of relief in my stomach that I'll get to eat your your food. So can you make aloo parathas and gobi paratha tomorrow? These past 6 months I have been. And then later I was thinking that, of course, you'll offer it as bhoga and whatever. That thing hasn't gone away. That taste of the tongue hasn't gone away, so to say. I was feeling a little disappointed. Disappointed means, yeah, I understand the philosophy, but this particular thing of making a sacrifice of our, even if it is in a contaminated state, the process of offering it as bhoga, that is kind of purificatory. So yeah, it answered.
Yeah, so from that angle, yes, we also want to make sure that whatever bhoga is offered is first class first, right? So,
Yeah.
So that taste of the Mahaprasad or the Prasad is there. And at times when we find that it's not palatable, right? Not only, as Krishna also says, oh, what are you offering to Sanatana Goswami? You're not putting any salt in the chapati. You're not putting this in the chapati. What are you offering?
Yeah.
Right. So, it's there. Krishna and initially Krishna will accept whatever we want to offer, but at the same time he'll give us dadami buddhi yogam tam. He'll give us intelligence. That okay, whatever you're offering, offer it more with love. Right. So having that taste of the bhoga offerings which are offered by the preparations of Mother Sabita, right? It's okay. That's also Krishna Prasad. Hold on for one moment. Hare Krishna Subal Kesha Babu. No problem. ओके ओके या मैं क्लास में हूँ, मैं तो बाद में बात करता हूँ. ओके या is that all right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So actually, when we get to a pure consciousness, then it doesn't matter whether we are externally clean or anything, right? It's our intention which is to be clean.
Yeah. Yeah. But internally, we should be completely clean. Externally, but ultimately, means externally clean in the sense that, okay, means we'll think about taking bath or something like that. But otherwise, means more is about internal cleaning. Completely purifying our inner self. Yeah.
Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Really. Anybody else has any realization they want to share or have any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is Subal Das.
Yes, Subal Prabhu.
Prabhuji, just on similar, something similar to what Amritananda Prabhu asked. Sometimes we want to do devotional service, but, then we can't do it. For example, like you might want to go to the temple and the car breaks down, Mangalarti, then the snow or something. Or even while doing deity service, sometimes you're trying to put like a certain thing on the, and it breaks down, it breaks. So what do we consider that Krishna doesn't want you to do that, or how do we take it?
We just take it that at that particular time. It's just like VR machines. car, these, that are also machines. Now, ultimately, things are going to break down at different times. But Krishna is taking our taste that under that circumstances also, how do we remain fixed? So not necessary that by you going to a place to the temple for Mangala Aarti or so, that is only your devotional service. Devotional service, right sitting at your home also you can perform. Devotional service, right without having any means also you can perform. Like we see this Brahmana, he didn't have anything, but he was offering big feast to the Supreme Lord, right? Completely absorbed in his mind. He was preparing all these items and making sure that, the Lord wants wonderful items and it should be wonderfully prepared and it should be at this right temperature. So he even touches mentally. He's doing all these things mentally. And his finger gets burnt. Really. Right. So it's all about our internal condition in that state of absorption which we may be, which we want to develop, that under any circumstances, whether today I have things to go here and there, tomorrow I don't have those things to go here and there, but I'm absorbed in devotional service. Devotional service is not dependent on material things like your car or this or that, or even in that matter, even your body. Ultimately, we want to even transcend our body in performance of our devotional service. Is that all right, Subal Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhu. I think I get it, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, like just before the class, I somehow had gotten this video of Pankaj Angri Prabhu coming, in critical state all this time in the hospital. Even now is in oxygen, but he came to Shida Mayapur in ambulance at 1 a.m. in the morning. And the temple authorities opened the temple for him, the DDs for him, so that he could take darshan, and he's still in full consciousness. Right, seeing the form of the Lord whom he has served throughout his lifetime. Right, so no. Yeah. Ultimately, for that devotee, the Lord comes. Take his service. Like Tota Gopinath, we see the Lord, every day Gadadhar Pandit used to serve the Lord. And later on, his body could not handle it. That serve his tall form of the Lord. And the Lord himself shrunk so that he can reciprocate. Now, Gadadhar Pandit is not different than Srimati Radharani. It's quite on an advanced level. But the idea is now Lord for his devotees, based on his surrender, he will serve. He will reciprocate with the devotee. Is that all right, Subal Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anybody else? We still have 9 minutes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, I had I don't know, it's a related question or different question. We were talking about purity, right?
Yeah.
And we are talking about contamination, but no matter how much you avoid, like the material world is contaminated, right? You go to work, no matter how much you avoid listening to somebody's conversation, still sometimes, it's just unavoidable, the kind of language and all people are using or the things they are talking about. So basically, your intention is to get away from there, like to keep yourself pure, right? But what my point is, especially when you are chanting, your mind, like goes, towards those thoughts, is that Maya testing you? Nitai Sevni Mataji, I don't know in what connection she said one time. She said not to dwell on those thoughts, and that really helped me, because I, like sometimes if something comes, I'm trying to fight it, and that used to lead me very frustrated, or like because I'm not intentionally trying to do anything, but it's like, I I take it as like, just say Ramji was, the yagya was going on and the demons are throwing things in the fire, something fire. So similarly, when we are chanting, I feel like the demons or the Maya is testing you, or the demons are trying to put hurdles in your way and see how determined you are to go on. So is that how, this is how I look at it, because then I say, okay, I'm not dwelling on something like this, which is so impure or whatever I heard or something. I'm going to continue my chanting. And maybe Krishna wants to see, maybe Maya's testing me, and maybe Krishna wants to see how determined I am to go on this path. So I wanted to know if I'm doing the right thing or no, because it's an impure world, like even when you go to the grocery store, like Patel or something, they have such, those filmy songs, going on, like which are totally like, like filthy, you can say sometimes, like, but how can you avoid listening to something like that when you are living in that kind of world? So basically your intention, you're not doing anything intentionally, you're trying to keep yourself pure, but then just I don't know if I'm making myself clear or no, and I just like
you're making yourself clear, Mataji. So yes, we are in this contaminated world. Now you're talking about this gross filmy song. When you go to Patel, last few weeks, I was going to Restaurant Depot, and they have these carcasses of animals which you pass when you're trying to get at a bunch of spinach or this vegetable or that vegetable. Right. So it's not that you don't see it, but at the same time, ultimately you have to train your mind to not be distracted by any of those. Right? Because you're performing devotional service, just like a lotus flower, it does not get distracted by the surroundings which it has. It still blossoms nicely. Right? So similarly, our devotional service should be there. That our surroundings or our thoughts at times, because we are still sadhakas. All these, so many lifetimes, we have remained conditioned, right? So it is not going to be, come tomorrow, or as soon as I will begin my chanting, it will be pure chanting. No. Our mind has been a repository of so many conditioned thoughts. So it will go towards those thoughts. But what to do? So by chanting more, you'll be able to get away from those thoughts. Chanting brings better chanting. Right? Not that, now I cannot chant. No, I have to first of all control my mind. No, it's chant go on chanting more and more. Right. And ultimately, by regular practice, just like Lord Krishna himself mentioning, Arjuna is saying that mind is very difficult to control, and Lord Krishna does not say that no, it's very easy to control. No, he says yes, it is very difficult to control. But abhyas yogena kaunteya, by regular practice, you will be able to control the mind. Regular practice. First day we are not going to be able to run a marathon, by regular practice. So similarly, by regular practice, initially it is for 5 minutes, then more, and then more, and then more, right? We'll be able to control more and more. And ultimately, we'll be in that situation that a tortoise at any time will be able to withdraw his senses from the sense objects. Right? And be completely, even in whatever given condition we are, right? Whether we go to a store where our ears have to hear that, or Brahmins, but somehow other will be situated in serving the Supreme Lord. Because at that time also we are thinking about, oh, I'm going there to get something for the Supreme Lord. Is that all right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Yeah. Mhm. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank
Haribol.
Okay, 7:58.
Very close.
Very close.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah, I think one thing I would like to mention, devotees, we're planning to start the Chaitanya Charitamrita section starting tomorrow at 7 o'clock. This is a systematic study of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we should, like what we do for Bhagavad Gita, senior devotees will be taking the class. So please join. Don't miss this opportunity. It's a lifetime opportunity to hear and understand the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this helps us. Of course, it's mentioned that Chaitanya Charitamrita study is like PhD, kind of classes. So, but whatever we can understand, it helps us to reach to that goal. We may not be that scholars, but some way or other, we pray to Lord Chaitanya, please bless us, hearing the glories of the devotees. That's our movement. Follow the Ragatmika Bhaktas. We are Raganugas also at the same time. The true devotion says that we should also become Ragatmikas. Ragatmikas means to follow the pure devotees of the Lord. Ragatmika. We have to have an attachment to the pure devotees of the Lord. So that also helps us to develop taste for chanting the holy name. We don't have that taste for now. But by hearing those pure devotees, we can develop a taste. So that's the intention. Not to
It is
become
only on Saturday, right?
only on Saturday. So, yeah.
Same channel, Prabhu,
Same channel, same channel.
7
Only on
p.m.
Saturday, instead of Bhagavad Gita, it will be Chaitanya Charitamrita, but
Yeah.
otherwise, regularly,
Yeah.
we'll have Bhagavad Gita the other 5 days.
Correct. Yeah, that will have some taste. Many people are requesting, so many devotees in the temple are asking, Guruji, where is the channel? Where we can hear, this is so nice, wonderful. Yeah, and it's good. At least we can have a section by section instead of going by verse. We can take a section by sections of Chaitanya Charitamrita. That will give more understanding of. It's very important that we says that we are Raganugas, we follow the devotees of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, but we don't know anything about the Gaudiya, the Parambara systems, and that is, so there's intention to at least somehow to know what, so this helps a lot. And many devotees help a lot in their life, progressing in bhakti, because of we get to know a lot of your devotees through Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's good to So please join. Is it like to hear from you, devotees?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, please. It's a wonderful mercy of the Lord. So please join.
Prabhuji, is it for an hour or 2 hours?
It's maybe a little more than an hour. It's a section by section. Maybe we would say that 1 hour, 1 hour, the class, maybe some question and answer, maybe after that. 1 hour is class, yeah.
Okay.
Not
thank
more than
you.
that. So 1 hour to finish.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Please join tomorrow, 7 o'clock. So thank you. Anything else? Any announcement? Yeah, Sunday morning. Adi
Gadadhar Prabhu is giving a lecture.
Evening.
First time on our channel. He's a disciple of His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. Adi Gadadhar Prabhu from Atlanta, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful lecture. I heard it's so powerful.
And then His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj, such a wonderful devotee. We will be fortunate enough to hear him in the evening
8 o'clock, right?
at 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're sending the flyers, no, Prabhu?
Yeah, I think it's sent already,
It's
but
already been out, yeah.
it's already sent out. It will again send.
Yeah.
Check. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Amritam Babu, for you, please take care.
Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Be safe and sound. India
Thank you
right
so
now,
much. Yeah.
the news. Today, Biden just released travel restrictions from India from coming Tuesday, but that does not apply to citizens and residents. That's what I.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
be careful.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And never, yeah. Okay.
Wonderful. So let's pay our obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha Tirthanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Vaishnavebhyo namo.
Jai.
तरह से भगवद गीता की
Gita
Jai.
ki jai.
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai.
Jai. Hari
Hari
Bo.
Om. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hari Krishna.
Thank you, Madhupati Prabhu. Thank you, Simeshwar, for arranging this Chaitanya. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
See you tomorrow.